Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra at digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telesol 4G. Just a touch. Coming up, University of Education Winneba closed down following violent demonstration by students who vandalized school property, forcing police to fire tear gas. We'll take you live to the UEW campus where there's heavy police presence. Also,
government, you should do something about doing so for us. They beg because of the way the light is going on. It's not good. Sometimes maybe your fridge or aircon, then the way the light is.
As some Ghanaians are forced to spend the night in the open following recent power outages, we'll hear from Energy Minister John Peter Amewu as he assures the blackout should be over in 5 days, but warns there still could be localized ones.
And it is because we are doing this work, that is why we are having some challenges and difficulties. So I want to let Ghanaians be assured that Dumsor is not back. This is not a Dumsor thing that everybody is saying that there is Dumsor.
Also, vigilantism in Ghana comes under the spotlight in 2019 U.S. Human Rights Report.
To have high-level political commitment on all sides to tackle the problem and to tackle it in a very impartial, free and fair and responsible way.
We'll bring you extracts of the report as the governing NPP and opposition NDC are likely to meet this week, 21 days after the president's directive to disband political party militias in sports.
Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah has defended his 24-man squad for next week's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier with Kenya.
And later, City hits record low despite Finance Minister's assurance the currency will bounce back soon. We'll bring a report on the situation, plus whether or not government's last resort will fix the problems of the city. We have all that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. Sounds of students of the University of Education Winneba protesting earlier today over the recent happenings at the university. As you know, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Reverend Professor Anthony Afubruni, has dismissed over 30 teaching and non-teaching staff. The situation is said to have led to the disruption of academic activities at the university. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, is demanding the resignation of the Vice-Chancellor. It's a call the students endorse.
Interim Management Council will give further directives as to what happens to the Vice Chancellor.
So the council will determine whether he keeps his job or whether he gets removed?
Yeah, that will come from the Interim Management Council.
You heard the UTAG President, Dr. Eric Opoku-Mensah. Well, in the last few minutes, we are hearing the school has been closed down following violent demonstration by the students who vandalized school property, forcing police to fire tear gas. Joy News' Richard Kojo-Nyako is on the ground and joins us on the line. So, Kojo, what can you report as in what's happening as we speak?
Well, currently, the Regional Security Council, its head, Kwame Nadankan, has closed down and has ordered that all students should vacate the campus by 6 p.m. This is as a result of the protestation by students. It started about 3 days ago, and last night it went up a notch higher. They started burning tires and other things. So the police, in an attempt to quell, responded in some measure, and then that resulted in some bloody clashes between the police and then the students. A lot of property at the University of Education campus have been vandalized. There are others too that have injured, including some of the policemen, and so that warranted the press conference that was announced by the Regional Security Council to shut the school down temporarily.
Ours as the Regional Security Council is to ensure the the peace and security of the university. So, on the advice of the Regional Security Council, we cannot continue to allow the university to be in session. That our report is this, that every passing day, the level of insecurity increases or escalates. As we speak, some of the buildings have had their windows shattered. The university's bus, I'm told, the glasses have been shattered. That yesterday, during the period of the power outage, some of the students took opportunity or took advantage of that and set ties burning, blocked roads, and virtually were seeking to turn the security and the peace of the university upside down. This morning.
So that's the Central Regional Minister, Kwame Duncan. But could you, as we speak, do we know the number of injuries recorded so far as a result of these protests?
No, we cannot put any number to the number of injuries, but what we do know is that we have some policemen that are injured. We have some students that are also injured. We cannot also quantify the extent of damage caused because we have school buses and other vehicles that have been vandalized. We have buildings that have also been damaged by the students. Most of the roads were blocked by the students, and that warranted, these exchanges between the students and the police. And so the school, came to a standstill because people feared even entering the university campus because you know that the community lives within the university campus, and so people feared for their lives. So you get people that were crowded at the river station and they want to go inside, but they are unable to go inside. And so that was the extent of the situation that, led the Regional Security Council to shut the school down to save property and the lives of human beings.
But what's been the reaction of students and authorities alike following the announcement of the shutdown of the school?
Well, as I speak with you now, the students are still protesting. They are in their red as usual. They are protesting. I don't really know. So we are all waiting up to the 6 p.m. deadline that has been given by the Regional Security Council to see if the students will vacate the campuses. As we speak now, reinforcement has been called, and so the policemen have quadrupled in their numbers to ensure that they bring the situation under control.
But this announcement of the closure, does it affect other campuses? Because we know that they have other campuses in Kumasi and elsewhere.
Well, it was not specified, but the action really was at the Winneba campus. So we do not know whether it affects the Kumasi and then the Jumako campus. But the announcement was made that the school has been shut down. So we do not know whether the Jumako campus and then the other campuses that are not in the region are also affected as well.
But has calm been restored overall?
Well, we cannot say for sure that calm has been restored because students are still protesting.
Richard Kojonyako there is our Central Regional Correspondent, bringing us the latest on the University of Education Winneba campus. And we're told also that the MP for the area, as well as the MP for Asin South, we're told they are on the campus trying to restore some calm. But we'll be following developments there and bring you the latest as and when we get it. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. And the recent power outages that have affected portions of the national capital and some parts of the country are likely to continue a while longer if the Energy Minister's comment on the situation is anything to go by. Mr. Amewu has blamed the situation on technical faults, but has assured the problem should be resolved in 5 days. The Minister and officials of Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, have today been touring some areas in Accra which has been affected by the power cuts. We'll get to hear from him shortly, but first, listen to some residents of Accra who were last night forced to spend the night in the open following a second straight day of power outage.
If we get light, we will be happy.
Actually, you want to see improvement?
Yeah.
How soon?
Yeah, it depends on the government.
You are not disturbed about it?
Oh, we are disturbed.
We dey beg government. You should do something about doing so for us. They beg because of the way the light is going on. It's not good. Sometimes maybe your fridge or aircon, then the way the light is going is not good. So we dey beg you should do something for us.
And as we indicated, the Energy Minister and officials of GRIDCO have today been touring some areas in Accra which have been affected by the power cuts. Their first port of call was the Central Business District substation, where the GRIDCO CEO, Jonathan Amwakuba, explained that the power outage on Tuesday and Wednesday was due to a technical challenge.
Found out that 3 days ago and even yesterday in the evening, the currents that were coming to the station were exceeding that limit, and automatically the station shut off by itself. In doing so, all the load in the central part of Accra was lost, which was a very heavy load. And when that happens, what it results in is that the generators, especially the thermal plants, see very high, they see a low demand, and that the frequencies shoot up. And these thermal plants are not that robust to keep at that frequency, so they also shut up. And they shut down. And in shutting down, it takes most of the loads off, because the lines that are coming in and out of Accra to, let's say, Winneba, to Malam are overloaded. And we don't want that to happen, because if it continues like that, the whole of the country would shut down. So these areas are shut down in order to protect the power system.
That's the CEO of the Ghana Grid Company, Jonathan Amwakuba. Let's speak to Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba, who is on the tour and joins us on the line. So, Maxwell, what really is the objective of this tour, and what have they been saying?
Well, the minister has been visiting various thermal plants as well to ascertain exactly what the situation is. So right after the Central Business District visit, we went to Pokwase, where Tretia interchange is actually being constructed. And the workers there actually fixing cables on some new pylons there. When we spoke to the minister, he told us that the construction ongoing at Pokwase is partly also to blame for the intermittent power outages. But he's been promising that within 5 days, the work should be completed and we should be back to regular power supply. He has also been reacting to the minorities' claim that he cannot fix the situation. He says what is happening now is purely technical, and has promised that within some days we should be able to get regular power supply.
So we had a problem at the generations. You know, this whole business is from generation, transmission, distribution, as you know. So when this occurred, you know, it affects the generators. Automatically, the generators have to shut down. And when the generators shut down, what it means is that the power to be transmitted, you know, to those areas, so automatically, you know, there will be a shortfall, a deficit. And so that's exactly what happened. So we're going to talk to some of the generators to see how, you know, the yesterday's activity, you know, impacted on that generation issue. So that's exactly what happened to our friends outside Accra. So apart from the transmission issues that we witnessed in here, and then the BSP point that we saw, you know, at the Graphic Road, you know, there was a trigger, and that trip off the generators to cease, you know, generating power in a thermal enclave. Yeah.
All right, so he mentioned 5 days. So for the rest of the country as well. So in 5 days' time, we should return to normal power supply.
I like the way you guys are so anxious of having the power on. It's good you've now experienced the need for continuous supply of power, and that's the work of these good people. We've been in the past, we saw what happened. So of course, 5 minutes of power shortages, I know how our cherished consumers will feel. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, what they are telling us, the technical people, they will address the problem, and we will be back on stream. So the problem will be solved.
So
definitely.
the assurance is 5 days.
Of course, yes. Yeah, you listen to them. 5 days
for everybody.
You are the Energy Minister, John Peter Amewu. We need to endure 5 more days of the power situation. But let's stay on this a while longer, because the minority in Parliament has been addressing a news conference on this. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us on the line with what the NDC MPs have been saying. So, Joseph, what is the minority's concern regarding the recent power outage? And are they making any demands of government?
Adams Mutawakilu, who is the minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, says they are convinced that this situation is a generation problem. According to him, there's been a shortfall of up to 1,000 megawatts of power, because as at yesterday, the available power in the system was 1,400 as against 2,600 megawatts, which is the actual demand. And he claims that this is as a result of money problem. He says there's been a lot of debt in the system, 900 million that ECG owes the independent power producers, VRA owing 160 million, and VRA also owing another $735 million. And it's been difficult for them to get gas because the necessary payments are not being made, which is how come we are seeing the power situation. We are seeing the government uses the ESLA money that's coming in through the act more efficiently, and that's the only way to fix this particular situation. Otherwise, it will get worse in the days and weeks ahead.
Joseph Opoku-Gakpo reporting from Parliament there, but public resentment continues to grow in Kumasi over persistent power supply challenges, especially in the last 2 nights. It compounds worries of intermittent supply interruption in the last few weeks. Power Distribution Services attributes the development to shortfall in supply from power transmitter Gridco. Nanaya Jima has more in the following report.
The issue of fluctuating voltage seems to be the worst of concerns of power consumers. Areas which are spared by complete interruption have to contend with repeated fluctuation, in some instances in blinking fashion. Consumers share their frustrations.
Common fan cannot function, and within a twinkle of an eye, it will move.
And because my TV was fluctuating.
Send you a video. It's about 21 seconds. Fell short of images that I took from the interface of my meter. At some point it was 260. Some point it was 250. It came down 1 to 211. This time we will take you people on.
For the second night running, parts of Kumasi were plunged into total darkness for hours. Not all affected places had power restored by break of the new day. Businesses which rely on electricity are reeling under the current situation. Frustrated operators are demanding a schedule to enable them plan if service providers are running load shedding. Consumers are divided over the cost, especially when officials are reluctant to provide information. While some blame it on inefficiency, others believe it is sabotage.
I'm suspecting sabotage. I think there are people within PDS who are not in favor of the takeover, and they are the causes of this.
They are just sabotaging the system. The same people at ECG, they are all the same people who are sabotaging what is going on. They should sack all of them.
If the regulator is looking at a situation where there is a service level agreement between them and us, the customers, where anytime each one is violated, they give them a penalty and give us a discount.
Meanwhile, the Public Utility Regulatory Commission wants the Ghana Grid Company to keep consumers regularly informed about such development. Ashanti Regional Head Francis Beidu says the commission is working with other stakeholders to find solution to the problem.
When we receive cases like that, we have to forward it to the service provider for them to respond. When they respond, we have to give the response back to the customer. It can be 2 ways. And those who have really come to lodge a complaint, like I really said, of their appliance getting damaged, have really gotten a positive result.
Nanaya Ojima reporting.
There are also similar reports in other parts of the country, including Ho, Tamale, Upper East and Upper West. Now, away from past situation, the 2019 U.S. Human Rights Report has captured the issue of political vigilantism as a major source of concern to the country's governance. The report, which was presented in Washington, D.C. yesterday by U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, also highlighted police brutality, corruption and governance in the country. Joy News editor Araba Kumson joins me with some details. So Araba, run us through some of the issues raised in the report.
Right, MFA. So let's start with corruption and lack of transparency in government. And I'm reading verbatim. It says the law provides criminal penalties for corruption by government officials, but the government did not implement the law effectively, and officials frequently engaged in corrupt practices with impunity. There were numerous reports of government corruption during the year. Corruption was present in all branches of government, according to media and NGOs and various reputable national and international surveys, such as the World Bank's Worldwide Governance Indicators and Afrobarometer, and it highlighted the prevalence of corruption in the country. It also highlighted the issue of the dismissal of the former EC chair, Charlotte Osei, and the report stated the June ouster of the Electoral Commission chairperson and the president's subsequent stacking of the Electoral Commission with persons considered to be biased in favor of the ruling party raised questions about whether the body might be used to stifle voter registration among the opposition's base. It also alluded to, police brutality and violence and harassment against journalists. And in this regard, that our own colleague Latif Idris, was sustained fractures to his skull when he was brutalized at the police headquarters. And that is also documented in the report.
So the report also touched on vigilantism, correct?
It did. And briefly, it just says post-election violence, including takeovers of government institutions by vigilante groups associated with the victorious, the governing New Patriotic Party. So it wasn't extensive, but it alluded to that.
Okay. Araba Kumsin, thank you. Now, meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Stephanie Sullivan, has welcomed the attention Ghanaian organizations have brought to the problem of militias. During an interaction with some media persons in Tamale, she said it is not in their place as foreigners to say Ghana has a problem with militias, but if Ghanaians have identified it, they are open to proposals seeking their assistance.
I welcome the attention that Ghanaian organizations have brought to this problem. Again, it's not for foreigners to say, hey, you guys have a problem. It's really for us to say, okay, you all have identified a problem. How can we help you? How can we support you? How can we be a good friend and neighbor to help with this? So I think we're open to receiving ideas and proposals where people might ask us for some specific assistance. I think it's very good to have high-level political commitment on all sides to tackle the problem and to tackle it in a very impartial, free and fair and responsible way, and not point fingers and just say, well, we don't have a problem, but you have a problem. No, you have a problem, we don't have a problem. Because then we all have a problem.
You heard that the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Stephanie Sullivan. Now, the NPP and the NDC have renewed their commitment to disband their party militias, but the issue about a mediator remains unresolved. Whilst the NDC insists on a mediator, the NPP supports the president's stance of the two parties doing this by themselves. But the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, insists President Akufo-Addo should lead the direction of the dialogue with named mediators.
We need the president because the president is making it look like it is NDC MPP that has this problem. There are three parties. There's the government that is supporting the vigilante groups. When the expose came about the training in the castle, hasn't MPP come out to disown the I group as an MPP vigilante? And yet it is a vigilante group. So if we had met as two parties and have decided that the vigilante groups that we recognize have been disbanded, what would have happened to the I group?
So 21 days after the president's directive, the two parties are likely to meet this week. John Boadu is the NPP General Secretary.
I think that where we are and the kind of commitments that has been shown by the NDC themselves, I think that we can quickly put our heads together and quickly convene it. Just a major meeting to agree on terms of reference, and our chairman has been talking to the chairman of the NDC, and I believe that by end of week, if we are certain about our schedule, or early next week, we'll be able to find some space and discuss.
In a related development, NPP National Organizer Sami Ewuku, who has been touring and meeting party supporters on the need to disband all such groups within the party, is calling on the NDC to do same. He spoke on News Desk on the Joy News channel.
I want to call on my NDC colleague, the National Organizer of the NDC. From our side, led by myself as National Organizer, I have hit the ground as the field person for the party and head of his operations for the party. I want to see that kind of leadership also being exhibited by my NDC colleague. While the diplomacy continues at the top, we owe it as a duty to also rein in our boys. We owe it as a duty to be a sympathetic ally and a trusted companion. What do I mean by that? You go to them, they're able to share with you their deep-seated concerns, while they also sometimes flare up and engage in these activities. You know, everything that you can come put it on air. But when they also speak to you in their deepest moment of emotions, then you as the leader, as the organizer, you're able to crystallize it well, present it in a better manner, and also help address or take steps in addressing their concerns.
National organizer of the NPP, Sami Ewuku. Top story so far here on the Midday News. University of Education closed down following violent demonstration by students who vandalized school property, forcing police to fire tear gas. Also, as Ghanaians are forced to spend the night in the open following recent power outages, we heard from the Energy Minister, who is assuring that the blackout should be over in 5 more days, but once there could still be localized ones. Still to come, cedi hits record low despite Finance Minister's assurance the currency will bounce back soon.
With the kind of fundraising that I've talked about, I think all things will come to an end and we'll realize that this is just a blip.
We'll bring you a report on the situation, plus whether or not government's last resort will fix the problems of the city. We're right back after the break. Thanks for staying with the best. Let's do sports now.
Okay, so Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah says all 24 players invited for Ghana's final AFCON qualifier against Kenya next week deserve to be in the team. Now, the team will begin campaign here in Accra next week, Monday, and with 3 Asante Kotoko players in there with some new additions, as well as some players making a return due to their recent fine form at their respective clubs. Coach Appiah believes he has put the best of team together for the game against Kenya.
I believe in promoting our local players. You see, the players themselves, what happens is once you bring a player to the national team, if even he doesn't kick a ball, the mere fact that is mixed up with our professionals, his confidence levels rises, and it helps our local league. Secondly, if he's playing, he gets a chance to play, and the mere fact that he's being in the national team, he gets opportunities to go out there. To also help the clubs, the managers to also get money from there. So a player who is playing locally should not think, I'm playing locally, so I'll not get a chance to go to a national team.
All right, so Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah there. Well, last night, Liverpool and Barcelona completed the quarterfinal list of the UEFA Champions League. So tonight, 2 other English Premier League teams can make the next stage of the Europa League. Chelsea, Dynamo Kiev, they won the first leg at Stamford Bridge by 3 goals. Arsenal must overturn a 3-1 deficit from the first leg as they host Stade Rennais of France at the Emirates Stadium. Thank you very much, Benedict Owusu. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Attah's optimism that the city will be stabilizing as he expects some capital inflows in the coming weeks has been greeted with mixed reactions. Already, Bloomberg has described Ghana's currency as the cheapest in Africa as the cedi hits a record low of 5 cedis, 77 pesos to the dollar this morning. But will the expected inflows from the Eurobond be the panacea to the woes of the cedi? Raymond Akwas more in this report.
You can engage in all the propaganda you want, but if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. The type of free fall that we are seeing with the cedi exchange rate is a vote of no confidence by market players in the management of the economy.
That is the famous speech of the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who between 2012 and 2016, when the cedi was trading way below 5 cedis, addressed several lectures on the economy in general and the cedi specifically. Amongst others, he touted this government had the expertise to not only stem the tide, but also reverse the depreciation of the cedi. Fast forward to this morning, the cedi is trading at 5 cedis 77 pesos to the dollar. A situation that upsets even the President of the Republic, as he was forced to voice out his frustration in an engagement with industry giants some weeks ago.
I'm aware of the anxiety there is in business circles and through the population about the recent depreciation of the cedi. I am extremely upset and anxious about it too, but I want to assure you that all efforts are being made to arrest the decline and restore the cedi to stability in order to improve the competitiveness of Ghanaian industry. And I think very soon you will be seeing the results of our policy.
Well, the cedi, with a mind of its own, paid no heed to the lamentations of the president as it continued to decline from then till now, compelling the finance ministry, after exhausting almost all the arrows in its quiver, to resort to the Eurobond market for a temporal solution.
With the kind of fundraising that I've talked about, I think all things will come to an end and we'll realize that this is just a blip. So we are really I'm confident about the reversal and the stability of the currency because when I talk about the foreign exchange, it's a price, which means that it's demand and supply. And what I'm saying is that with the resources that we are going after, 300, 600, another 750 and 3 billion, we should be okay. And all of this should happen, within the next 2 or so weeks.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta ending Raymond Akwa's report, and the city seems to be trending. For good reasons or wrong reasons?
For the wrong reasons, I must say. And we have Ken Ofori-Atta on the list and Bawumia also on the list. And some of the comments are, the Finance Ministry proposed measures in dealing with a depreciating city. It's like topping soup at a chop bar where customers are in a heavy queue in wait to be served. It's a matter of time that the entire soup goes down, leaving the fundamentals weak once again. We also have a comment that says, can we invite some economists and policy analysts to sit with Bawumia and Ken Ofori-Atta so we can have an expansive conversation on what is going on with the city? Citizens need more education and information.
And that's what's trending on social media. And just before we go, it's been more than 205 days since the first girl went missing in Takoradi, and to hear the cry of the mother. I am Emefa Apau. Have a good afternoon.